Hi, everybody. Good afternoon. Good morning for some of you. This is Letitia with Therap, and I also have Catherine on as well. And we're going to be going over the updates that are coming out this weekend in 2019.5.0 that's scheduled for the 15th. So we're going to walk you through what's coming out for that. Here's our disclaimer if you take a second to read that. I'll just note that, as we go through these things, both of us, when we share our screens, we're going to be in demo accounts with fictitious individuals and certainly not sharing any PHI. If we give you any recommendations or ideas, certainly you always want to make sure you're abiding by your agency policies and state guidelines and whatnot. And one more tidbit before we dive right in is just want to remind everybody, if you didn't already know, that we do have a self-password reset feature within Therap. That's really handy for your DSPs on up to your super admins. You guys control who could use it at your agency, but especially for those super admins that if you're the only one, or you maybe only have two and one person's away, you wouldn't have to go through a lengthy process to prove to us you are who you are. You'd be able to just get right back in using, say, your email. And then same, you could reduce from your DSPs and all of your staff at your agency from having to call you for resets and just allowing people to use that feature. So just throwing that out there. It's an option. If you have questions about that, definitely let us know. So with that, let me go ahead. We're just going to close out of this. And actually, I want to start on our live login page here. So you may have noticed last week there was a splash message up when you logged into Therap. That splash message, we took that down, letting agencies communicate if there's important things they needed to communicate, they can do that. And so you'll notice when you get to the login page, we're just announcing like crazy that this release is coming up. So certainly this might have been where you found us to hop on this webinar, and then there's a lot of other information as well. Sometimes these ads are going to change up, so this will be here probably for another week or so, but when it changes up, just so you know, always below the login page on the right hand side here is where you'll find the most up-to-date release information. So you can always be checking there regardless of what's on the left, as well as if you're wondering what that downtime notice was or you missed it, you certainly can always find that here as well and be able to see what the downtime would be for your time zone. Okay. Also, during the webinar, if anyone has any questions, please feel free to use the comment box within the GoToWebinar. We do have everybody on mute, so we don't have too much background noise. There's just too many people to have everyone unmuted, but definitely feel free to ask questions as we go along, and we'll be monitoring those as you type them in. Okay, so with all that said, whoops, now I didn't even I closed out the release notes. Let me just go back there. Here we go. Alrighty, so with that said, let's go ahead and dive into these release notes. So we'll mainly look through right at the release notes directly, but then there's a couple of things we want to actually log in and show you what those things are going to look like. So the first update coming to GER is actually with the witness form. So GER has been in the new user interface for quite some time now, but the witness form or witness report is going to be switched over this weekend as well. So that's really the biggest change with that form is that it's going to the new user interface. So it's got that new look and feel, it's mobile friendly, and you'll see that when you get in there. This is just some more screenshots of that. And then it also it shows a screenshot of how you can view the update history. And with the update history, it's going to have that functionality that you may have seen in other modules or even in just the regular GER, where you have the option to see the different versions and compare an older version to a newer one. Okay. Then there's some state-specific things happening with GERs. So Florida, they're getting a Met Error Report State form added to their system when you get to the tab for state forms. Okay. Maine, a couple different fields. So the date reported to HS and DHHS person reported to and department reported to, gosh, this is a mouthful, are no longer going to be required. Okay. And then also in Maine, physical altercation type has been added to the event dropdown. In Missouri, and this actually, you might see this, or if you're from Missouri, you may already see this in your dropdown, but we are adding abuse neglect in the event other section as categories. In New Jersey, this is sort of behind the scenes things that happen, but they are going to be able to keep the notification level at a low, medium, high. It really doesn't matter, but they can do any notification level if they say yes for neglect, whereas before it would make you have to have it a high. But based on their state regs, it doesn't have to be a high, so that's getting changed behind the scenes. Okay. And then also on their New Jersey follow-up report, the finding can be unselected. It's not going to be a required field initially. For New York, 2 of our forms are getting updated. The tabs ID on the 147 or 150 is going to be coming from the IDF, from the individual number. The ID number, that's what I'm looking for. And so previously that came from our IDF extension, but that field is being removed, and we'll talk about that later on. But you'll be able to, it'll still pre-populate, but just right from the IDF. Okay. So that's GERs. T-logs, this is pretty handy. So when T-logs got switched to the new user interface, certainly it had the eye icon where you could see all the entered by and update history and all of that information. So what we're doing with this release is we're actually putting the entered by directly on the form, so you don't need to go into that eye icon to be able to view it. So as you're acknowledging and next through your T-logs, you can quickly see who actually entered it. So that's going to be visible right on the main page there. Okay. Also with T-logs in the search and then in the export to Excel, the photo and attachment columns are being added. So you'll have a yes, no to see if a photo or attachment was present. Okay. Ooh, okay. ISP programs. This is some really exciting stuff, in my opinion. So ISP program templates are getting several different updates. The first update it talks about here is when you apply a template, that it's going to actually keep the template name as the program name. You certainly could edit it and change it. But let's say you have an ISP program template for community integration. You'll be able to, as you apply that, and you want to apply it, let's say to 20 individuals, as you apply it to them, that name will get carried over every time. Whereas currently it doesn't, and you'd have to type it 20 times or copy and paste it. So that's going to get carried over. So that just saves a little bit of work for most people there. The other really exciting thing with the templates is we're adding a bunch of fields that are currently missing. So time duration, edible service provider, billable ISP program, multiple task scores, time overlap, pretty much everything in that other detail section is now going to be there. So very exciting that that's going to be in your templates. You might consider, if you do have some templates that you already have, you might consider, after the release, copying those and adding what you want the defaults for these to be. That way, as people apply them to ISP programs, those are already set. But that's certainly, up to you, but it will be an option. And then anytime you create a new one, these other details will be there in those templates. So super cool. That's what it looks like. There's a screenshot. And then there's it filled out. The other thing that's happening with ISP programs is we are coming out with a new admin role called scoring method. And this is going to be for creating a scoring method on the admin tab, and also the functionality of being able to create a scoring method right within the ISP program. So you would need that scoring method role or admin role in order to create a scoring method at all. If you don't have that role, you won't be able to do that. And I'm going to show you what that looks like in just a minute. The other thing I want to note is who will automatically have this already is going to be anybody that currently has the provider setup admin role. Once the release happens, those people would automatically have this role. You certainly can go in and take it away or add it to more people. That's really up to you. But right now, anyone with the provider setup role can create the scoring methods on the admin tab. So that's really why we chose to automatically let those people continue to have that behind the scenes for you. But again, you adjust that and decide what you need. So just to take a peek at what that would look like, I'm going to log into beta. And it's noteworthy as well that anybody can go to beta.therapservices.net right now and log in and see any of these changes. We'll highlight a few of them in there, but if you want to check anything out, feel free to log into beta. The only thing is when you go to log in, your password will be whatever it was on 1/1 of this year. So if you've changed your password since then, you would just need to use your previous password to get in here. But you certainly can come in and check out any of these features that are coming out this weekend. So I don't have that role in this account. So if I was, for example, creating an ISP program, okay, and we'll just come into anybody here. Oops. I just got to put these things on. And then when I come down to click select scoring method, you'll see I have my agency list of scoring methods here, but I do not have a button to define a new one. And so you guys now really have the control and the ability of who can create these on this list and who can make individualized ones. That's come up a lot, especially with us implementing more agencies with DDO or data-driven outcomes and just wanting that reportable data. And when somebody goes in and creates one that's sort of off your agency standard, it sort of throws your data off. And so we wanted to give people the ability to control that. Certainly, if you want everyone to still have that button, you could make that happen, but it's completely up to you. Without that role, though, you would be forcing them to choose from the list that you already have. Okay. Any questions come in yet so far? Maybe about ISP programs or templates?
No questions yet.
Okay. Don't forget, if you do, just throw them in that question box. Also with the scoring method, the label acronym is now required. If you ever created one without that and then looked at, say, a data count report, Therap sort of made it up for you. And so basically we won't do that anymore. You'll be forced to create that label acronym, which is better anyways. It's going to be better than the system generated one. Be what you want. Also with templates, if anyone's on from New York, we do have sort of some New York specific fields, and those will be available on a template if you're in a New York account. So you'll have the group count, and then on our tasks, we'll have the face-to-face and program type questions. Again, if this doesn't look familiar, you're not from New York, don't worry about it. But again, just sort of going with that on the agency templates, you'll have the ability to answer all the questions that you need. Okay. With ISP data, just a small but very handy change, you'll have the ability on the ISP data search page to see what was selected for, is it billable, yes or no, at the bottom of the ISP data. And so you'll see that, and certainly that can be exported to Excel. Okay. Some changes with data-driven outcomes. Right now, we currently only have one role called data-driven outcome. It's an administrative role. And so you would need that admin role to do the DDO setup, and you would have it for all individuals. So we're switching this just to allow more functionality, and it's going to be super roles. And so there'll be three super roles, one for viewing, editing, and one for deleting. And so you can determine who has that in their super role, and then it will be caseload based. So if I have a residential manager, when they go in, they'll just see the individuals that they work with, and they can set up that DDO for them. Okay. And that's sort of what it looks like. Some other things that are changing there is the comments instructions box when you're setting up DDO on an outcome measure type. That will be able to be edited even after it's in place. So being able to come back and edit that. As well as you can see the update history. And then this is sort of what it would look like when you're applying it. Okay. Any questions, Catherine? I think we're okay. All right.
Yeah, we're good.
Okay, next on the list is the global template libraries, and this is for all of them. So care plan, ISP, all of them. So the comment section that you see, we're eliminating that. We did an audit of it. Nobody was putting in anything that looked like it was necessary. And in fact, we caught some things that shouldn't be in there. So just sort of a safeguard, making sure no one has the ability to put PHI somewhere they shouldn't. We're eliminating those comments on those, and that's just in the global templates. Okay. The next thing that's coming out, don't get too excited, but get excited for the future and the future possibilities. So there's a new thing coming out called age configuration. This will be for anybody that has that provider setup admin role. That will be on their admin dashboard here. And it will say age configuration. There it is. And you can create a new one. And so this will allow you to put in what you want age ranges to be. So maybe I want 0 to 3, and then I want my next range, 4 to 8. And you'll be able to customize date ranges or age ranges. The reason I say don't get too excited at the current moment is it's just sort of a setup piece. It's not going to impact anything or change anything. It's really not going to do anything quite yet. So this is really the first release to make this an option. So this is going to be there sort of in the background. And then you're going to want to watch for future updates for, maybe when we add this functionality to BI so that your BI dashboards, business intelligence can run off of these numbers or other possibilities. So definitely just be on the watch for more things in the future to come with this. This is sort of just the first thing that we have to release and make available before anything else can happen. Okay, but know that's coming and know that we'll make progress on that. Okay, that's all of that. Catherine, you wanted to start with case notes?
Sure thing. Let me go ahead and share my screen.
Sure.
Alrighty, is my screen up?
Yep, I see it.
Okay, let me shrink this GoToMeeting. Alrighty, so changes for our case notes that are coming up. Just a minor change here when you're doing a case note search. The search page is no longer going to have a default search of the 1 month range within the default dates. So when you do a search, you will need to put in either an individual or a form ID or a valid service date range within the search to pull up your search results. Moving on down to our individual support plan. Change for our case managers who are working in case manager accounts at this time. Case managers will now be able to link ISP programs created in linked providers of an individual in the action plan section. So in that section where you can pull in ISP programs that have been created, case managers will be able to pull those in as long as they have access to the individual within your case management profile. The case manager is working in the ISP plan through their regular profile, where you do have the edit access on the form. And as long as the case manager is working in the ISP plan created in the case manager's provider. So that feature is coming in. Again, you're going to be able to pull those ISP programs into the action plan section. Changes to the medication review. Users are now going to be able to view the list, in the list, the name of the prescriber of the medication. So you can see that that column has been added here into the medication review section. You're also going to be able to see the prescriber name on the generated PDF report. So that'll show right beneath the medication information and above the table here. For pharmacy interface, we have a really exciting change coming out for this module. I'm actually going to jump into my demo account to show this. So I am in beta in one of my testing accounts. Anybody with the super role permission, I'm sorry, not super role permission, it is the agency-wide administrative role, the module permission within user privileges of pharmacy provider admin. So anybody with that admin side of the pharmacy tab can come through their admin tab. I'm going to scroll down to the pharmacy section. And you're going to see this new row here called message work list configuration. So we know that when you get pharmacy messages on your to-do tab, they can be overwhelming, especially if you have a whole lot of individuals. We're now introducing a way for you guys to sort those messages for yourselves. So I'm going to go here and click manage. And instructions for how to do this are going to be up in my notes section here. But essentially I can come down into my configuration area, and my screen is zoomed in a bit here. But over on the side are different things that can happen with medications. I can then decide, is that a high level message to sort on my to-do tab? Is that a medium level message? Or is that a low level message? So in my demo here, I have that a discontinued order and a new order, for example, are going to come through as high level messages. I can come in and change this at any time. I can add to it at any time. So if an order is canceled, maybe I want to say that that's a high level. So I can add that to my list here. Again, I can exit off if I don't want it on here. So I can come in and make my work list priorities myself. I can also come up to my expiration day here. So what this means is that these messages will stay on my dashboard for 30 days from submission. I can go down to 15 or 7. So I can customize the expiration date. And then again, I can customize really what I want to see from my messages. So I have all of my actions over on the left here. And then again, I can go through and decide what is high, medium, and low. So I don't have an example of what this looks like on the to-do tab, but again, as the messages are coming in currently, everything's just listed under the medium level. All of those messages are lumped together. But after the new release, you're going to be able to create that custom configuration for yourself to help better organize your to-do list. And again, that's going to be available for anybody who has that pharmacy provider admin administrative role.
Catherine, I also think it's important to mention that, or I guess cool to mention or exciting that if you don't map one of those, then it won't give you the account. So a lot of feedback has come that my pharmacy is sending me stuff I don't care about. And so, well, if there's something in the category of that, then you just don't map that to high, medium, low. Like all that stuff you have on the left is not mapped. So it doesn't mean you don't still have those in your system. You still can search for them, but you're not going to get them on your to-do tab and clutter up your to-do tab. So this
Exactly.
really is a solution people have been waiting for. So it's really
Yeah. If I really don't want to know every time a refill order comes in, if that's unimportant to me, I would just unmap this and then I wouldn't get those messages clogging up my to-do list.
Yep.
All right.
Awesome.
So that is an exciting change. Look forward to that coming this weekend. Again, there's more instructions within that notes section. For our scheduling module for self-check-in users, so users who are using that self-check-in option, previously they were not able to check out if more than 18 hours past their shift has occurred, but now we have upped that to 24 hours. They still do need to check out of their shift within that 24-hour time frame. Warning messages as well will now remain visible in the same part of the screen, even if the user scrolls down the schedule slot window. So those warning messages will kind of just follow you down along as you scroll through. When you're accessing the schedule grid from the view check-in link on the dashboard, the user's total schedule hours and work hours will be shown at the top. So here's what the change will look like here, which is pretty exciting. You can see the daily and then the weekly total for how they're scheduled and then how much they're actually able to work or how much they have worked here. So you can see that all of that information is going to be available right at the top of the page there. And that's available from the schedule grid from the view and check-in link on the dashboard. For our users in Indiana, the task field in the individual-based scheduled slots has been removed. Also with scheduling with our SAN data aggregator interface, the limit of the number of visits that will be displayed on the SAN data visit search result page has been increased all the way to 1,000. So you'll be able to see more of those there. And we've also added this slot status, so you can see whether those slots have been approved. So you can see the change right here. For our document storage module, documents under the agency-wide document storage can now be searched by leaving all of the search parameters blank within the document storage page. So this is going to be super helpful for you guys who are looking for something and you're not super sure when it was put in or what the exact name of that is. What you can do is just leave everything blank. It'll pull up all of the documents you have within your agency storage. And then remember that you can use the filter tab to find what you're looking for. So we hope this is helpful. It is sometimes difficult to remember those date ranges of when things have been put in. So now again, you can do that blank open-ended search and then use the filter to go through all of your documents that are in the agency-wide storage. Changes for our priority list. Any date, previous or future, can now be placed in the date of need, so in this area here. Field in the priority list enrollment form, it was limited to before that it could not be earlier than the entry date, but now you can enter in whatever date as needed. The contact notes are also now displayed in the order of the dates which they have been entered. So you can see these are going to be in date order here. And lots of boxes here, but this is essentially just showing that the priority list, priority category, status category, exit reason category, and response status category, all these dropdowns are now going to be in alphabetical order. So here's the priority list, the status category. I can see those here. So here's my list status. These are all now in alphabetical order, my response. For our questionnaire, we are adding a new answer type, and that's going to be a read-only answer type. So this will be added to the questionnaire coming this weekend. This type of question allows users to only read the text and not enter any sort of answer. So if you need to put in a disclaimer of any kind within your questionnaire, that read-only answer is the perfect solution for that. So you can see this answer type here, and it'll show whatever is in the title as a read-only where users can hit next to go through it. We're also changing the numeric answer type, splitting that between numeric decimal and numeric integer, which allows the decimal integer type numbers in the answers respectively. So you can differentiate between what type of number you need entered in there. Also within the questionnaire, we're adding in previous and next buttons so that you can skip between questions without having to use the save and the save next options. So those will be in there as well. In our eligibility module, new links for eligibility category, eligibility processing status, eligibility referred by, and eligibility denial reason are going to be added under the eligibility template section of the oversight dashboard. These links will allow to add and delete the items separately. So all of these links are going to be listed there on your oversight dashboard. We're also introducing a new drop-down field, eligibility denial reason. And that's going to be added in the eligibility form under the eligibility decision section. This drop-down field populates the denial reason that exists in the eligibility template, which we're used to create the form. So you can see here eligibility denial reason. And then my drop-downs are going to be whatever was populated in the template. So in my example here, insufficient information is listed. If the drop-down, I'm sorry, skipping over this one here, the drop-down field in the search has been added as well. So here's my eligibility denial reason, so I can search for those specifically if I'm looking for searches for why they were denied. And here's what I was skipping too. In the decision here, if I'm filling this out, and this was part of my template, if I do not have a denial reason and I said that the person was not eligible, I am going to get an error. So again, I have to make sure that if I am listing not eligible as an outcome, I have to put in that denial reasoning. So you can see the error message occurring here. In our comprehensive health assessment tool, or our eChat module, the create summary report that shows at the top of the screen is going to be renamed to generate summary report. When you click on this link, it's going to generate the summary report in read-only mode. An activity will also be added into activity tracking when this action is taken, so that will be able to be tracked. So generate summary report here, and generate summary report. There's also going to be a warning message that displays for users when they navigate out of a generated summary report to just let them know that they haven't actually created that yet. Instructions to create a summary report from the generated summary report will be provided at the top of the report. A new create button will be available, so you can see the create button here. At the bottom of the form, to create an editable version of the report, you can click on the summary report link on the done page or on the eChat form to open up the summary report. You can see once you do that, your summary report's been created. and then you can open up your actual summary report. There will also be a warning message displayed here if users try to navigate out of the created summary report to which changes have been made but not saved. So if you're making changes on this and you're trying to exit out of it, there will be a pop-up to just let you know that you haven't saved your changes yet. And again, we've added that generate summary report into the activity tracking section so you can see when those are created. My issues, some changes to the My Issue section for our feedback questions and suggestions, problems, or comments that you can submit into Therap. We are adding a new button into the issue tracking section. If you click on new, you can submit any of those categories to us, so question, suggestion, problem, or comment directly to Therap. So you can go here to new in your issue tracking module instead of scrolling down to the bottom of the page and clicking on the feedback button. So this will be in a new interface. You can see that here. After clicking on the My Issues option, you're also going to find a new interface for the My Issues page where issues are listed. So this is also going to be looking a little bit different here. For our shared contacts, more interface changes here for shared contacts. So just as our My Issues, we're updating the shared contacts look as well. So we are updating that form to the new user interface. Took out the county fields. They're no longer there under the address section. You can see the new look here. We've also added some changes in here with the new look. So we have that blue circle, the blue information circle with the little eye in it. You're going to be able to look in here to see some new pieces of information. So each shared contact is actually now going to get its own form ID, but you're also going to be able to see who entered them, who they were last updated by, and if they were discontinued, who discontinued them. So all of that information is going to be listed within that blue information circle for your shared contacts. We've also updated the interface for uploading shared contacts from Excel, and the interface for linking shared contacts will also be updated. Once two shared contacts are linked, the linked shared contact will be displayed at the bottom of the discontinued shared contact form. And the interface for removing linked shared contacts has also been updated. So all of those facelift changes here. When you're looking at shared contacts and how they're displayed in other modules in the system, we've also made some changes to that. The shared contacts on forms and on lists will now display the contact's name, their title, and their organization. So you can see here I have my demo doctor, Stephen Hall, and he's from Demo Hospital. And you can see in my drop-down list here, it's also going to have that information here, so you can see specifically where they're from. In the admin tab, the shared contact type, the add edit option has been renamed to list. So your shared contact type, you can still make those add edit changes, but that's going to be renamed to list. Once you click on that, we've updated the interface here for viewing, creating, reassigning, updating, and deleting the shared contact types. So I can still make those changes, just has a new look and a new name on your admin tab. Again, when you're clicking on the eye icon at the top of the shared contact type form, you're going to be able to see who created that, who last updated it, who deleted that, etc. And we've also added support coordinator to the list of default shared contact types. In our notification module, also for shared contacts, this used to be part of the provider administration module. So when you were setting notifications in the system, if this was something that you wanted to be notified about, it was part of the provider admin module. This is now part of the shared contact options. We've just moved this out into its own option here, and you can set whether you want to be notified in any of these cases. So save, update, discontinued, linked, or removed link. If you want to be notified, you can set up your own notifications in your account. So again, it's not part of the provider admin module anymore. It's going to be moved out into its own shared contact option. Also, when you're receiving an SCOM notification regarding a shared contact, so if you do set that up as a notification, you're going to be able to open the link directly from the SCOM. So I can see that here. So if you're setting up your notifications, you want to be notified anytime a new shared contact is entered into the system, for example, and you set that up for SCOM, you're going to get a direct link so you can look at it and see who that was entered in here. And of course, the little eye icon so you can see who entered that in. In activity tracking, activity types related to shared contacts and shared contact types are now listed under the shared contact module. So again, we took this out of the provider admin and it's in its own shared contact. So if you want to see who's doing what within the shared contact module, instead of searching in your provider admin module selection within activity tracking, you can now simply select shared contact. And I have lots of different options here in activity tracking for all of those actions that can be taken within shared contacts itself. If a shared contact is added to a form, like the IDF or appointment form, then later discontinued and linked to another shared contact, users clicking on the link shared contact option on the form will no longer be able to access the update history of the linked shared contact. So that's another change that's coming. Alrighty, any questions so far, Letitia?
No, nothing's coming.
All right. Next coming up is a change to our password policy. So something that you may have set back in the beginning of Therap and then not looked at it again, but we are making some changes in this area of the system. When updating the minimum length of password field in the password policy page, and again, this is when updating, the value entered must be greater or equal to 8. So before it was 3, we've increased the security here and put that up to 8. So everybody's password will minimum need to be 8 in length. The maximum value that can be entered in for a password, this used to be 12. Now you can have a really long password if you want to. So it can be up to 64 characters for your password. Also within that password change, we are introducing the ability to force all users to change password. And so if you're changing your password policy and you do want to force all users to change their password because you changed that policy, you can check off to do so. The next time they go to log in, they will be required to change their password to then meet your new requirements. Users who are resetting their own passwords using the self-password reset module are going to be able to see the agency's password policy listed. So just like when you're creating a new password or for a new user and they have to change their password right away, you'll be able to see that password policy here for those who are using the self-password reset. Alrighty, our agency reports section and the individual contact report that's underneath the agency reports tab. We're moving that into the report library and it's being renamed to the IDF contact all individual. So again, the individual contact report, moving that into the report library and it's being renamed the IDF contact all individual report as shown here. This report is going to contain a new column, individual status. So we're adding that onto the report. And we're updating some of those columns. And those changes are listed here. So on the left side of the screen is the old column name. Updated column is going to be on the right here. We're also adding in employee ID as a new column into the last login information report that's under the agency reports tab. So you'll be able to see the employee ID listed if there's one in the system. Moving along to our scanner interface, after this next release, if you're using our scanner interface within the system, you will be asked to install a new version of the Dynasoft service application by downloading it. So that's what it'll look like when it'll pop up. You can download that new version of that scanning software, and it's just a one-time setup. So once it's done, you'll be able to use that scanning software within the system. Changes to our users. When a user is logged into the system, if their account is password locked, admin locked, deactivated, or deleted, or if their password's reset by an administrator, they're going to be immediately logged out. So any of those actions, if their password gets locked, if you're admin locking them out, if you're deactivating or deleting their account, or if you're just resetting their password and they're already logged into the system, it's going to automatically log them out of their session. When you're entering in a username as a search parameter on a module search page, you're also going to be able to see statuses of anybody who has been deleted or deactivated. So you can see here, Charles Allen, DSP, is inactive. And then I have a deleted staff here as well. So you'll be able to see those staff who are inactive and deleted in your system. Users will no longer be able to lock or deactivate their own accounts. Attempting to do so will result in an error message. So you won't be able to lock yourself out of your account when you're resetting passwords or looking at any of your user lists here. And you will not be able to delete your own account either. So you will get an error message as well if you're attempting to delete your own account. In activity tracking, when a user downloads an Excel template file containing sample data, their activity will now be logged in activity tracking, and you can search that under the data exported to Excel. So again, if you're using some kind of Excel template and you're downloading that, that is going to show within my activity tracking search here. Change to the IDF, the option to generate and import the HITSP C32 document using the HL7 CCD component from the Health Information Exchange section of the IDF will no longer be available after this release. And for our support intensity scale users, the work list link is now accessible even after the count drops off from the dashboard after 30 days of the error. So you can see that's going to be here for you on work list. We have some new file transfer options coming from our Health Information Exchange. So if you're interested in any of our SFTP file transfer options, you do have some more options to choose from now. So we are going to be offering appointments, allergies, immunization, individual medical history, and individual social history. If this is something you guys are interested in, feel free to contact your Therap business consultant, but we do have these files and more available for that health information exchange for a secure file transfer protocol exchange of information in your system. So that's what those files look like. And finally, for me, health tracking for users in Nebraska, the reason for appointment is now a required field in the appointments form. So any of our Nebraska users, you will have to fill out this reason for appointment section when you're creating an appointment form. Alrighty, if there's no questions, Letitia, you can go ahead and take over again for your New York users.
Sure. Yeah. No questions came in. So back to New York. As I mentioned earlier, the IDF extension in New York is being updated. It looks a lot different. Just to show you real quick. It's a lot smaller. So a lot of fields that no longer are valid or needed are just being removed. A new field is coming over, care coordinator, and that drop down would be anybody that's a case manager on there as a shared contact on their IDF. So Suzanne Belvin has care coordinator listed, and so I can select that as the care coordinator. The CCO dropdown, we are adding a new field for NA in case you do still serve some individuals that do not have a CCO, such as individuals in an ICF, you have that option. And then the LCD option here. If you did have MSC agreements attached, those would stay here. You would still have that section. But if you happen to remove those later on, you just don't need them visible anymore. You would be able to find that in your update history. Those documents would still be there if you had attached them. Okay, so that's just what that looks like real quick for New York. The other thing with New York that's happening, and we've been talking about this for a while, is the MSC note module is becoming read-only. So the only thing you'll be able to do there is search for MSC notes, and they're just going to be read-only. So with that, the two super roles, the coordinator and supervisor, is changing. The role is just going to be called MSC Notes View. Okay. With staff action plans, this is sort of a behind the scenes thing that's happening where we're breaking apart the staff action plan being dependent on the ISP plan. It's really not going to change any of your functionality with your checklist. It's just behind the scenes, so you have a label change there. And then a few billing things. Certainly if this interests you, definitely talk with your billing specialist if you need more information on the billing things. My understanding of this, we're adding more placeholders, more sections for the modifiers here, the procedure modifiers, and a lot of that has to do with being able to bill for child services, especially with managed care. So it's just opening that up to allow us to be able to bill for more services. So if that speaks to you and it's something that you're doing, again, make sure you talk to a billing specialist and they can walk you through how that works. And then you'll see throughout these screenshots where that modifier is being put. On the billing data itself, you can see the modifier here. Okay. And then the locator code. Okay. And then again here on the institutional claim, and that locator code. Locator code was already there, but not visible here in the actual institutional claim. And so allowing that to be there is really going to help with reporting and where that number is needed in specific areas. Okay. And again, just more screenshots of where those modifiers come into play. Okay. And then the last billing change or update is with Pennsylvania. They are now going to be able to generate billing from a scheduled slot that has more than one staff assigned. So previously you could only have one slot assigned for the billing to be able to be generated. But now you're going to be able to actually have two. So for what they needed with ratios and whatnot, that billing is now going to work through the schedule. Okay. And those are the updates. I hope you guys are as excited as us. I mean, everything's good, but I mean, some super exciting stuff in my opinion with, the pharmacy interface, the mobile app acknowledgement, the templates. So lots and lots of good stuff coming out. Make sure you test that out, or if after the release next week you're confused on anything, definitely check back to these release notes. They'll definitely still be posted on that login page ad, and you can open them up and see what those changes are. I have not seen any questions come in from you guys. You guys are pretty quiet. So we'll go ahead and wrap it up for today. But again, thanks for joining. And if you do think of any questions, definitely reach out. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.